Mike Tyson tells Deontay Wilder to grow up and warns that he will not last long against Tyson Fury if he doesn't make the right adjustment. So let's quickly get to what a few things Mike Tyson's actually been saying. He said, keep going through it until it's really over. Wilder can still make a lot of money. He shouldn't feel sad or discouraged, and he should continue to go out there with a lot of zest and confidence. Mike Tyson also said, well, listen, he didn't fight the same fight as he fought the first fight. The first fight, Wilder fought with confidence, like he could win. In this fight, he fought like he didn't have no zest, no life in him. I don't think he was the same fighter after the first fight. After the first fight, Wilder couldn't rise to the occasion. Mike Tyson also went on to say, talking about whether Deontay Wilder could win the trilogy, he said there's always a chance. Everyone always has a chance. It depends on how much he wants to give into it. Does he want to dedicate his life to really winning the fight? And anything can happen. Something went wrong with Wilder during the second fight with Fury. He just didn't adjust. If Wilder can't fix the mistakes he made in his rematch with Fury, then he's not going to last long in the third fight. But he did make a lot of money, so it's not all bad. So those are words of Mike Tyson. And I do agree with Mike Tyson that Deontay Wilder needs to make the correct adjustments. Whether he can actually make those adjustments in order to beat Tyson Fury remains to be seen. But in terms of Deontay Wilder growing up, I just feel like Deontay Wilder, in order to, he needs to get some better like guys in his team who can actually help him, give him the advice in order to win. At the moment, I believe he's only got Mark Breland, who can really give him that advice, which help him make those correct adjustments in order to beat Tyson Fury. But good sounds coming from Deontay Wilder in terms of linking up with George Foreman. And George Foreman, as a previous heavyweight champion, he seems to have a better relationship with Deontay Wilder than Mike Tyson does. And Mike Tyson seems to be back. He speaks sometimes like he supports Deontay Wilder, but he seems to support Tyson Fury. So Deontay Wilder seemed to be linking up with George Foreman. Seems to be a good move in terms of bringing a previous heavyweight champion, someone who lost to Muhammad Ali but came back at age of 45, what's it, and knocked out Michael Moorer in devastating fashion. Similarly to how Deontay Wilder knocked out Ortiz, but George Foreman knocked that guy Spark out. But in terms of, both being big punchers, I feel like George Foreman is a good makeup for Deontay Wilder in terms of mentoring and in terms of coming back from losses. I think that's a good move for Deontay Wilder. And at the same time, I feel like Mike Tyson talking about the adjustments that Deontay Wilder needs to make. Deontay Wilder needs to make. I saw in another article that Deontay Wilder has actually been speaking to George Foreman about things personally in terms of coming back from losses and also technical stuff, which George Foreman didn't really want to go into, which I think is going to bode well for Deontay Wilder because he's going to have to make some specific adjustments in order to beat Tyson Fury. And previously, I've actually said that a few things that's going to be key for Deontay Wilder to prepare for a trilogy with Tyson Fury is going to be sparring. I feel like he needs to get in some big guys in sparring in order to, replicate a few things that Tyson Fury is doing. Obviously, they're not going to be Tyson Fury. He needs to get some guys in there with the similar dynamics to Tyson in terms of weight and size and height and everything like that. Get them to replicate things Fury was doing and try and get Deontay Wilder to set up the right hand on those guys, whether it's on the back foot, maybe on the front foot in terms of throwing a counter right hands or counter overhand rights. And how to use his jab, because he kept, for one, I feel like he should have been jabbing. He kept trying to jab to Fury's body. It's very difficult for someone who's a bit shorter than Tyson Fury to be trying to jab to his body. I feel like that was a mistake. I would have been trying to jab to Fury's chin because Deontay Wilder was much more successful in the first fight, jabbing to Fury's, looking for his chin, the shoulders, jabs to the forehead rather than jab to the body, because Wilder didn't really jab to the body so much in the first fight. I think his most effective, maybe I think he did jab to the body a bit, but his most effective jabs with me was maybe jab to the chin, jabs to the, the upper, just jabs to Fury's face. Let's just put it that way, rather than jabs to the body. Because Wilder's jabs, he kept leaning in for the jab, and obviously because Fury's got that reach, he's still been able to catch Wilder with a few jabs. So there's a few adjustments I believe Deontay Wilder needs to make, but I believe sparring is going to be key for Deontay Wilder. And in terms of mentality coming into the fight, George Foreman was recently talking about Wilder should be thinking about, I'm coming to get my belts. He should look at it as a vacant title, which I think is a good move in terms of, keeping a fresh mindset. Because thinking about I'm getting my title, it just reminded you about how you got knocked out, is beaten in devastating fashion in the first fight. Second guessing yourself on the fight night. But if you look at it as a vacant title, fresh fight, you can go into the fight with confidence, from sparring confidence after having previous fighters like Mike Breland, of who Wilder's had in his team for a while, and having someone like George Foreman in your corner, because having someone like George Foreman in your corner can be a very good, confidence booster, bringing all that experience. Someone with knockout history as well, knocking people out in devastating fashion, coming back from losses, age 45, winning the heavyweight titles. Good move for Deontay Wilder if he really brings George Foreman into his camp. I think I saw somewhere he might bring him into the strength and conditioning team, but we know George Foreman's gonna be he's gonna be seeing a lot more than talking about advising Wilder a lot more than in strength and conditioning. Obviously, Deontay Wilder doesn't want to really remove what do you call it, Jay Diaz, who's been with him for a long time, from his team, or remove Mark Breland. But I think George Foreman with Jay Diaz and Mark Breland, Foreman, Breland, and Diaz. I think that's a good, three guys for Wilder to have around him, and to give him the correct advice. And George Foreman's a guy that will tell Wilder as it is, because Wilder needs someone who's going to tell him as it is. If he's not doing something right, he needs someone to tell him as it is. You can't just keep, you know, going into these fights just looking for a right hand. You're gonna fight someone one day who's gonna be able to stand up to your right hand. Because Fury didn't care about Wilder's right hand. Walked in there, beat him up, won in devastating fashion, even though they threw the towel and he stopped Wilder. So Wilder needs something else. You can't just come in there looking for the right hand again, or it's just gonna be a remake of the rematch, unless he catches Fury, somehow with a shot that Fury didn't see and Fury goes to sleep. But if he comes in there just looking for the right hand, I think it's going to be a mistake. He needs to make the correct adjustments. But in terms of Mike Tyson, I don't think Mike Tyson's got Wilder's mentality right, in terms of him saying that Wilder feels like he's giving up. Because he said that Mike Tyson said that Wilder feels like he's giving up. How do you really know what a man feels in his heart, though? Can't really say that. I don't feel like Wilder feels like he's giving up. I feel like Wilder really wants to come back and knock Tyson Fury out in devastating fashion and get his titles back. I haven't seen anything from the airwaves to suggest that Wilder feels like he's given up. The only thing he's been doing is making a lot of excuses, though. And obviously released that video where he was talking about him rising like the Phoenix. I just don't feel anything in the atmosphere. Even Wilder's fiance partner coming out talking about Wilder's going to be coming back. I don't see anything from Wilder to suggest that he's given up or thinking everything is over or anything like that. Because even Mike Tyson was talking about Wilder, with the money and he can still make a lot of money. I don't see Deontay Wilder as someone who's really cared about making money. Well, he cares about making money, but if money was his main focus, wouldn't he have taken that 120 million offer from Anthony Joshua from DAZN to fight Brazil and then fight Joshua 2 fights? Wouldn't he have taken those offers? Wouldn't he have taken Eddie Hearn's career high payday? So I don't really think, making the largest amount of money is actually Deontay Wilder's main, aim, as strange as it sounds. Because there's certain decisions he would have taken if money was his real main aim. So in terms of the money, I think Deontay Wilder wants to go in there, detonate a right hand on Tyson Fury and get his titles back. But one thing I would say that Mike Tyson was correct on is that Wilder didn't show a lot of zest as he showed in the first fight against Tyson. As he showed in the first fight, he didn't show a lot of zest. His jabs weren't as snappy. His right hand looked ridiculously slow compared to the first fight. A lot of people have been saying, I've been saying that. Also, I believe that, I think as well, Deontay Wilder came in pretty heavy in the rematch. It's 231 pounds. We don't even know what he weighed on the night. That could have contributed to him looking a bit slower. His right hand looked ridiculously slow. He wasn't quick, and Tyson Fury knows how to ride shots, slip shots. You need as much speed as possible on that right hand, and Wilder wasn't able to display much speed in his jabs or his right hand. So I agree with Mike Tyson saying there that Wilder lacked a lot of zest. Did he lack a lot of confidence? I feel like his body language just didn't look the same way as he looked against Luis Ortiz and against Dominic Brazil. I don't feel like that was the same Deontay Wilder that fought Dominic Brazil or fought Luis Ortiz. The way he just looked, even when they were reading out he's the WBC heavyweight, it just didn't look the same. Like, this facial expression weren't the same as it was against Luis Ortiz or against Dominic Brazil. So was Mike Tyson right when he said that that Wilder couldn't rise to the occasion? Was he taken up by the occasion fighting Tyson Fury for the trilogy, for the rematch? Did he fully believe in himself? No one really knows what Deontay Wilder really, thinks in his mind, but I just feel like for the trilogy, I feel like he's probably going to be up for the trilogy because he has nothing to lose. Well, he does have a lot to lose because he don't want to lose to Fury twice and then end up going down the pecking order again. But if he does lose to what you call it, to Tyson Fury in the trilogy, I have seen in the WBA that Wilder's now ranked number two behind Trevor Bryan. So there might be actually a silent route there for Deontay Wilder back to the heavyweight title. Truth be told. But yeah, Mike Tyson saying that Deontay Wilder needs to grow up and warns that he will not last long against Tyson Fury if he doesn't make the correct adjustments. Drop your comments in the comment section below. Do you agree with Mike Tyson that Deontay Wilder needs to grow up and that he needs to make the correct adjustments? Because I feel like Deontay Wilder definitely needs to make the correct adjustments. He needs to, and that needs to, and that a lot of that needs to, the adjustments definitely need to be worked on in sparring guys with similar dynamics to Tyson Fury in terms of height, reach, and he needs to get the guys in sparring to try and replicate Tyson Fury. And I feel like Deontay Wilder needs to come down to his normal weight, between maybe 209 and up to no more than 223, roughly around there, in order to keep his speed and his agility. Because if Deontay Wilder can go into the rematch, obviously he's not going to want to run around like AJ did against Andy Ruiz, because he criticized AJ for doing that. But if he can get fleet-footed, frustrate Tyson Fury, bring some awkwardness that Tyson Fury didn't expect, and then somehow frustrate Tyson Fury, cause Tyson Fury to make some mistakes, somehow detonate a right hand, people say that's a masterclass from Deontay Wilder. And those adjustments would have worked if he's able to pull it off. And hopefully, for his own sake, if he wants to become WBC heavyweight champion, is able to take advice from people like George Foreman, Mark Breland, and then end up picking up his WBC title and potentially setting up an undisputed fight with Anthony Joshua. So drop your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about Mike Tyson saying that Wilder needs to make the correct adjustments and needs to grow up, or he won't last long against Tyson Fury if he doesn't make the adjustments? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Like, subscribe. Cool.